November 24th, 1971, a quiet man wearing a black suit walked into an airport carrying a briefcase. Nothing about him seemed unusual. No panic, no weapons visible, no suspicious behavior. But within a few hours, he would hijack an entire airplane, demand hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then disappear into the night sky forever. No body was ever found, no confirmed identity, no arrest. More than 50 years later, the mystery of D.B. Cooper remains one of the greatest unsolved crimes in American history. And the most terrifying part, he may have gotten away with it. It was the afternoon before Thanksgiving. Portland International Airport was crowded with travelers rushing home for the holidays. Among them was a middle-aged man using the name Dan Cooper. He wore a dark business suit, a white shirt, black tie, and polished dress shoes. Calm, professional, ordinary. He purchased a one-way ticket for Northwest Orient Flight 305 heading to Seattle. Price, $20. Back then, airport security was almost non-existent. No ID checks, no metal detectors, no baggage scanners. A man could walk onto an airplane carrying almost anything, and Cooper knew it. After boarding the Boeing 727, he quietly took his seat near the rear of the aircraft. Then everything changed. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner. At first, she ignored it. She assumed the businessman was flirting with her, but then Cooper leaned closer and calmly whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Her heart froze. Inside the briefcase, she saw wires, red cylinders, and a battery. Whether it was real or fake, she couldn't tell. But Cooper remained unbelievably calm. No shouting, no panic, no threats. He simply explained his demands. $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. If his demands were met, nobody would be harmed. Inside the cockpit, pilots immediately contacted authorities, and suddenly the FBI was involved.
As the plane circled through the sky near Seattle, federal agents raced to gather the ransom money. Banks collected thousands of $20 bills. Every serial number was secretly recorded by the FBI. Meanwhile, passengers on board had no idea their plane was being hijacked. Cooper even ordered drinks, smoked cigarettes, and spoke politely to the crew. Witnesses later described him as intelligent, well-spoken, and strangely relaxed. Hours later, the aircraft finally landed in Seattle. Police vehicles surrounded the runway, lights flashed through the darkness, but Cooper stayed completely calm. One by one, the passengers were released safely. Now only the flight crew remained, and the real nightmare was about to begin. Cooper ordered the pilots to take off again. Destination, Mexico City. But there were conditions. The plane had to fly low, slow, landing gear partially lowered, and most importantly, the rear staircase of the Boeing 727 had to remain operational. This request confused investigators. Very few people even knew the aircraft had a rear stairway. The plane lifted back into the stormy night sky. Rain slammed against the windows. Violent winds shook the aircraft. Somewhere over the forests of Washington state, Cooper made his move. He tied the ransom money to himself, grabbed a parachute, and opened the rear stairway. Cold air exploded into the cabin. Then, without hesitation, D.B. Cooper jumped into the darkness and vanished. The crew didn't immediately realize he was gone, but when pilots noticed a strange movement from the rear staircase, they understood Cooper had jumped. Fighter jets searched the skies. Police searched forests. FBI agents searched rivers and mountains. Nothing. No parachute, no body, no clothing. Nothing. Investigators believed the conditions were nearly impossible for survival. It was nighttime, heavy rain, freezing temperatures, dense wilderness below. Some experts believed Cooper died instantly after jumping. Others believed he had planned everything perfectly and escaped. The FBI launched one of the largest investigations in American history. The case was given a code name, NORJAK. Hundreds of suspects were investigated. Former soldiers, paratroopers, criminals, pilots. Every lead created more questions. How did Cooper know so much about airplanes? Why did he request 4 parachutes instead of 1? Some investigators believed he did this intentionally to make police think he might force hostages to jump with him, meaning authorities couldn't sabotage the parachutes. It was brilliant. The mystery grew even deeper when reporters accidentally called him D.B. Cooper instead of Dan Cooper, and the incorrect name became legendary forever. For years, there was no evidence. Then in 1980, a young boy made a shocking discovery near the Columbia River. Buried in the sand were stacks of decaying cash. The serial numbers matched Cooper's ransom money. The discovery reignited the entire mystery. How did the money end up there? Did Cooper survive? Did he lose the cash during the jump? Or was someone trying to send a message? Even today, most of the ransom money has never been recovered, and neither has Cooper. Over the decades, many suspects emerged. Some were military veterans, some were skilled skydivers, others confessed on their deathbeds. One of the most famous suspects was Richard McCoy, a former helicopter pilot who committed a similar hijacking months later. Another was Kenneth Christensen, a former airline employee with parachute experience. But none of the evidence ever became conclusive. Fingerprints failed. DNA remained uncertain. Witness descriptions conflicted. Unofficially, the true identity of D.B. Cooper remains unknown. As the years passed, D.B. Cooper stopped being just a criminal. He became a legend. Books, movies, documentaries, conspiracy theories. Some people viewed him as a mastermind who outsmarted the FBI. Others believed he died alone somewhere in the wilderness.
This is it.
But no matter the theory, one fact remains terrifying. A man hijacked a commercial airplane, escaped into the night, and disappeared forever, without answers, without proof, without a trace. More than 50 years later, the mystery still remains unsolved. Who was D.B. Cooper? A trained operative? A genius criminal? Or simply a desperate man willing to risk everything? Perhaps the truth was buried long ago, somewhere deep in the forests of Washington. Or perhaps D.B. Cooper survived and watched the world search for him for the rest of his life. If you enjoy dark, true crime documentaries, unsolved mysteries, and hidden stories from history, subscribe to Noir Crate, because some mysteries were never meant to be solved.